Hello everybody, my name is Nerdy Lover and welcome to another episode of our football betting series here on YouTube, World Cup Edition. This episode we're going to focus on the fixtures in match day 1. In terms of our longer term plays for the tournament, there is a video that I have already uploaded looking at long shots, a more certain winner for the World Cup and a team that will qualify from their group stage, which I thought was decent value. So please check that video out as well if you are interested. I'm going to be uploading my top picks for match day 1, match day 2, and match day 3. And then we're going to break down the rounds as they come along as well. So I'm thinking this little mini-series as part of our football betting show will be maybe 5 to 7 videos breaking down what we think is going to happen and when. In terms of the spreadsheet, we're going to be putting this in the other column because it doesn't really fit nicely in Premier League, La Liga, or Serie A. But that's the boring stuff out of the way. Let's get into our first prediction as we start with the opening fixture of the World Cup. We kick things off with 50th ranked Qatar hosting 44th ranked Ecuador. Qatar are coming into their first World Cup on the back of 4 straight wins. Although when we do look at these fixtures, they were against sides further down the rankings compared to the host nation, and Qatar is the worst ranked host nation in history, sitting at 50th. The sides they faced range from 60th placed Panama to Guatemala in 118th. They did only manage to beat Guatemala by 2-0 thanks to 2 penalties. In the 3 games before this winning streak, Qatar did fail against teams that are actually in the World Cup, such as Chile and Canada, and both sides which are closer to Ecuador in the rankings than Qatar. Ecuador themselves are unbeaten in 6 coming into this game. That includes 4 games against sides that rank higher than them, and most certainly rank higher than Qatar. These are namely Argentina, Nigeria, Mexico, and Japan. Looking at the head-to-head record, there's just a single friendly between these 2 sides. However, Qatar did win this by 4-3, but we must throw in the caveat that Ecuador did have 2 men sent off, so Qatar won 4-3 against a 9-man Ecuador. To be honest, I'm not really sure we're building a case in support of Qatar here. I do think that Ecuador can get at least something from this opening match, and to be honest, if either of these teams lose, they're basically not going to qualify from their group. We've built enough of a case here to lay Qatar in the opening bet at about 1-2, so a £20 stake would return roughly 10. Our second game takes us across to Group B as 5th ranked England play 20th ranked Iran. And to be honest, both of these rankings I feel are quite generous to both sides. England come into this World Cup following a very poor Nations League campaign, failing to win any of their 6 games, and most notably lost both games against 44th ranked Hungary by an aggregate of 5-0, including a 4-0 defeat at Wembley Stadium. England have not won a game since March of this year, and that was against the Ivory Coast. However, when we look at Iran, their qualification route was quite a simple process, defeating teams such as Lebanon and the UAE. However, in the warm-up games going into this World Cup, Iran managed good results against sides ranking higher than themselves, drawing against Senegal and actually beating Uruguay. This will be a big test for them. I think the best course of action here is to take England to win the opening game at 1-3 in the first leg of an ACCA, and we'll fill the second bit out momentarily. The second part of our bet here is 3rd ranked Argentina playing 51st ranked Saudi Arabia. And very helpfully, Argentina have played a few sides below them in the rankings coming into this game, closer to the ranking of Saudi Arabia, which will help us estimate what's going to happen here today. They won against Jamaica, Honduras, and Estonia in the build-up, as well as winning against 57th ranked Venezuela in their qualification campaign. Notably, Argentina have won each of their last 4 and 6 of their last 7 whilst maintaining a clean sheet, and they've won on average by about 3 goals per game. The Saudis come into this World Cup on less convincing form, securing narrow wins against Iceland and North Macedonia, but they did draw against the similarly ranked Panama, Albania and Ecuador. In recent games, whilst playing sides ranked higher than them in competitive fixtures, Saudi Arabia have come up short with losses against Japan in the Asian qualification stage, and against Morocco as well in the Arab Cup. I'm in for 2 bets here today, and that's going to be Argentina -1.5, so So Argentina to win by at least 2 goals in that game. We're going to combine that with the England single to form a double. We're also going to be taking a second bet on Argentina to win to 0 based on their form going into the World Cup and Saudi Arabia's lack of goal-scoring acumen coming into the World Cup. Our penultimate selection sees 22nd ranked Morocco playing 12th ranked Croatia. Morocco come into the World Cup with a 5-game unbeaten streak under their belt. They do play Georgia on the 17th before flying off to Qatar, so it could be 6 games unbeaten. However, the average ranking of these sides that Morocco has beaten or refused to lose against, or failed to lose against, is 71. We compare that to Croatia's ranking of 12, and I'm not sure that this is really good preparation. Additionally, the one time that Morocco have played against a side comparable to the ranking of Croatia, they did lose by 3 goals to 0 against the United States of America, then ranked 16th in the world. Morocco's squad is composed of mostly players that you would feel out of place in the top European leagues. They are headlined by a few key names, such as Hakim Ziyech from Chelsea and Nasiri from Sevilla. Most notably, perhaps Achraf Hakimi from PSG. But unfortunately, Ziyech and El Nasiri are in pretty woeful form, and in fact, the right-back Hakimi has outscored both of them to this point in the season. And I just kind of can't see where the goals are coming from in this Morocco side. Croatia, on the other hand, come into this fixture on the back of a strong showing in the UEFA Nations League, wrapping up their campaign with 4 straight wins and unbeaten in 5 matches against the likes of Denmark, France and Austria. They do have a really excellent pedigree against World Cup teams and of course made it all the way to the final in Russia. The only concern from Croatia is the age of their squad, with key players such as Modric, Perisic and Dejan Lovren all the wrong side of 30. They are somewhat bolstered by the presence of young Gvardiol, Sušić and Petar Musa. I do like Croatia to win in the opener here. I do feel that Morocco are just a wee bit out of their depth on the world stage. Croatia to win in a single is the key for this bet. Our final selection today sees action in Group H, as 14th ranked Uruguay play 28th ranked South Korea. Uruguay are my long shot to win the World Cup, and they are unbeaten in 4 of their last 5 friendlies leading into the competition. They also finished their qualifying campaign with 4 wins on the trot as well. The national team are hitting form at just the right time. This squad is pretty strong in all areas, with Muslera in goal, Rayo, Godin and Jimenez at the back, Bentancur, Torreira and Gomez in midfield, as well as options up top such as Nunez, Cavani and Luis Suarez. An aging squad, especially at the front, but we can see that these boys have the technical ability and the tactical nous to get some good results here, and I would expect them to get out of the group at the very least. Korea are unbeaten in their last 3 friendlies heading into the World Cup. Whilst they do have some good players in the squad, such as Min Jae Kim from Napoli at the back and Kang In Lee from Mallorca has been pretty solid this season, I think we're under no illusions that this has to be the Son Heung-min show. He's going to have to do a similar sort of Gareth Bale-esque carry job for the Koreans if they are to get out of the group and progress in the World Cup. Unlike a lot of the teams that we've covered so far, there is a bit of a head-to-head history with Uruguay and Korea. The last 4 games they have faced, Uruguay have won 3 of them, but perhaps most importantly, they've won both of the games on the world stage, most recently in 2010's South Africa edition of the World Cup. I love Uruguay's chances of getting out the group, and at 4-5, I think that they're going to be the better team here in the opening match against South Korea. Uruguay to win, we're going to wrap things up with that. So there we go, 5 selections across 6 games in the first round of the World Cup. We start things off with the opening game, Qatar versus Ecuador. We're going to be laying Qatar here. I think we missed the price slightly. It's not 0.5, it's 1.37. Still, a £20 stake would return £7.40. England, Argentina. So we're going to take England to win straight up and Argentina to win by 2 or more goals against Saudi Arabia. That comes to about even money, £20 stake to return £19.80. It's not uploaded onto the Betfair market yet, but we are taking Argentina to win to 0 against Saudi Arabia. We'll probably proportion that with a half stake, actually. I'm expecting the odds to be maybe 1 to 2 or 3 to 4, something like that. I fancy Argentina to really suppress Saudi Arabia and keep them in their own box, limiting their goal threat. Moving forwards, we have Morocco and Croatia. About even money, I think Croatia are an excellent shout to pick up a win in their first game. £20 stake to return 1980, and we wrap things up with one of the final games in the first round. Uruguay versus South Korea. We're going to take Uruguay at about 4 to 5. 1580 is the return. So on match day 1, we're going to be risking as much as £90 sterling to hopefully pick up at least 62.80. Will we do so? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's to tune into our next episode. But if you have made it to this point in the video, please drop a like down below. My name's MD1, and as always, have yourself a lovely day.